So you were over there. You were stationed.
No. So
Or you
I was in the Air Force for 6 years, and I went out to what's called pre-deployment training, and that's right. I can't remember the name of the base in Virginia where I was, but we had a blast, man. It was
was it the Air Force Base?
no, it's a Navy base. I almost want to Google it or look it up.
I'm doing right now. Sorry, folks. While we're
If you
talking,
name it, I guarantee it'll pop up in my head.
Naval Air Station, Main Gate.
Norfolk.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah,
Did you see that on there? Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, dude. Norfolk, Virginia. Or Norfolk. I think that's the name of the base too. Norfolk.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I don't know anything much about it out that way. But so you were in the Navy, or you were in there for 6 years in the Air Force. What made you?
Mm-hmm.
What made you join up? Was that something you always wanted to do? Is your family always?
It was really like restlessness and discontent, man. I grew up here. I'm back where I grew up initially by choice. I grew up in Kokomo, Indiana, and I wasn't going anywhere really fast. It's a blue collar town. Your options are fairly limited. I say that now, we got the internet and all that, but if you want to go out and get a traditional job, there's only so many in blue collar, mostly. And ultimately, in short, I knew that I was destined to do something bigger than what maybe my hometown was offering. And I decided I was going to join the U.S. Air Force, and I'm thankful that I did, dude. Changed my life.
So you just had this feeling inside you that you were destined for bigger things, and just right, that's what you're outside. Did you always have that feeling, or is this something that just came about, or what, dude? I relate to that because I always feel like, man, I can do so much bigger things. Because I'm from a real small
Mm-hmm.
town, like no stoplights, all cornfields and all that shit. I mean, not that I'm doing anything great and huge, but I always had that, like, man, there's more to life than just,
Yeah, man. Mine. I've always believed that I could do big things, and I looked around, and no one was really going anywhere fast in my circle of friends, and everybody was, just chasing chicks and chasing the party scene. And I was like, there's got to be something more than this. And when I was young, I grew up, I saw people with nice stuff, and I always assumed that they had really good jobs. I thought, okay, well, they're an attorney or they're a doctor. If somebody had like a big mansion, I was like, okay, well, maybe both the husband and the wife are doctors or something. That's just how I correlated it in my head. Long story short, man, I a real primitive approach. I looked around at what I had here, and then I was looking around as I was like a junior or senior in high school. And the guys that were going out to college and coming back to the bar where everybody was, like, they were putting on weight. They didn't have any money really. They didn't seem like they were really going through any sort of metamorphosis or change. They were the same dudes.
Yeah.
And my guys that were coming back from the military were different. They spoke different. They had a different posture, even a little swag in their step. And a lot of them had like a new car, a new truck. They had money to buy a beer at the bar. And I was always just curious, man. I've never been like a hater. So, I was curious, hey man, what's it like? Is it worth it? Are you nervous? Like, what about war? This and that. And I started having conversations, and it piqued my interest. That was the first kind of exposure to, the military potentially being an option. But I had never really set out like, I'm going to go to the military. I didn't know anything about it really. And, rewinding, the reason why I joined is restlessness and discontent. I was getting in trouble with the people I was hanging around with, and it was a ticket to a change, a ticket to a new opportunity, a ticket out of where I was and who I was spending time around. It was kind of a roll of the dice too, man. It was this, I think this is going to be good. And worst case scenario, if it's not, if I hate it, I'll at least have a good resume when I get out. And that was really it.
I mean, while you were talking, I was just thinking there's a quote I've mentioned on here a bunch of different times, but it goes like, I forgot who says it, but you're the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most, and and a lot of times when you're starting to look around and seeing what your life goals are and what you want to do with your life, and you just start looking around who you're hanging out with, it's like, hey, like, and you said it perfectly, hey, it seems like these guys are not really going anywhere except just to the bar and chase girls or whatever, which is nothing. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with that. But, like if you want to do bigger things in life, you have to start, maybe surrounding people who are almost like-minded. I mean,
Sure. Yeah. For me, I just, I was tapping out on that world. And I knew that, at a root level, like I kind of understood what I focused on, I could grow, or what I focused on, I could develop.
Yeah.
I'd seen that, in sports. And then I got, business kind of became my sport. I was later on, like after the military, but I've always understood the reality that, yeah, who you hang around with, like you're going to be like them, you're going to talk like them, you're going to have the same things that they have a lot of times. And it's really, and I think that's due to just information, man. If you and I were hanging out with billionaires, we're going to know what they're investing in.
Yeah.
We're going to know what those conversations are different than, other ones. People are talking about ideas and patents and different, strategies or different things that are working, different things that aren't working, in their level of where they're playing. So yeah, man, it's been awesome. I've since then I've kind of changed my friend group and changed the sport that I'm playing. I'm big, I'm an entrepreneur. I love building and doing things, right? Solving problems specifically through technology.
Yeah.
And, I just now started building a personal brand. I've been the dude behind the scenes for years, like 8.5 years. I've never really, someone could go out and look at the content that I have right now. There's very few pieces because I'm just now deciding to get out of my own way and start to, put myself out there. Cause I think I've got a lot of information I can help people with and a lot of shit that I've been through that, other people probably go through or will maybe. So the hope is just to keep meeting rad people like you, get on podcasts, put myself out there and hopefully impact people that are in the same sport, right, that I'm in now.
Yeah, that's what you got to do, man. That's one of the reasons why I created this thing was just kind of put myself out there. And, I've always liked podcasts and I know I've said it on here tons of times, but yeah, I was like, I want to learn from people, self-educate, and, like learn from you, like what you're doing out there,
Yeah.
things, and just if you stay in the same circles, like what you're going to get the same result. Just doing the same thing, get the same result, Einstein or whatever. But yeah, so it's just like, yeah, I knew that, that I could do more things and, give people a platform to share their world. Not like this is a huge thing or anything, but yeah, but I get a lot out of podcasts and just talking with people in general, and just like you said, if you surround yourself with billionaires, you're going to learn like what they're trading, what they're doing. And then like, I'm the same way when I'm like talking with you, I'm learning from you and like little pearls and gems that you might have and all that good stuff, man. It's just weird. And I don't know, and I'm in favor of social media. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just wondering if social media is losing that connection with people anymore. Just, like I work in higher education and I've said this before, but we're in a generation of students coming in where they've always had a screen in their hand,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's almost like, hey, is there a disconnect now? If they don't have a screen in front of them, it's like, do they not know how to act? I'm generally speaking, of course, but
Right. I mean, no, dude. So one of the things it's really cool. I think I can only imagine. I don't have a podcast, but I can imagine how cool it is to be able to talk. You can target who you want to have on there and pick their brain and ask questions, and you get a front row seat, right? And the results of your podcast is that ripple effect. It goes out to your audience, but before the recording starts and after it ends, you get to build that rapport with the person. It's really synergistic and collaborative. So I love the concept. And I've personally met a lot of really cool people over the last I think I've been doing this like a few months now, like getting on the radio waves. And, so I hope to be of value to you, dude. If there's anything specific, that you want to ask, I don't know if you're in the entrepreneurial world or if you want to, if you're working on a project or something, if I can add value, I'd love to, bro. I'm an open book. So if there's
that's
go ahead.
Talk to you about, it was like, your social media and how you got it started. I think you do app development and all that good stuff. And, I've always been curious with that, just because it's a huge part of the world and, and I work in IT in my 9 to 5. And so it's just, I wonder, how, I've never really had the background and as far as all that goes, like I graduated with PE and my bachelor's and sports management is my master's. And then now I work in IT, which is like this on managing software, but I'm not coding, developing apps or anything. But yeah, that's part of the reason I wanted to talk to you about, you got your own social media thing going on too. And it's like starting from the ground up. It's badass, man, and just, yeah. And like, I wouldn't call myself an entrepreneur by any means, but just, I love the, taking something of owning something and building it up and turning it into something rather than just, I'll just go stick with my normal day job and just 30 years later retire and go sit on the beach,
Yeah, there's, everybody goes a different path. I mean, I don't even know what is the definition of an entrepreneur, right?
It's a good question.
I really, in my opinion, it's someone who builds things and solves puzzles. Like that's it. So I think everybody in their own regard, you don't have to wear a suit. You don't have to have a jet. You don't have to, whatever, or have this fancy, shouldn't have this fancy, like, top shelf idea of what it means to be an entrepreneur. I think anybody that builds things and solves puzzles, solves problems, and really, really good entrepreneurs are those that solve problems, like, and the root reason for doing it is they're serving. And the truth is, like, you're paid in direct proportion to your ability to solve problems.
Sure.
So the people that go out and they've got their finger on the pulse, or they're observant, watching, listening, and seeing where there's problems in the market and where they can directly impact that. And it could be digital, like me, it could be a tech guy building apps and whatnot. There's a lot of problems to be solved there, but it's not to say that there aren't a ton of problems to be solved in the physical world too, whether it's, people need their windows washed, people need, all these new things that are coming out in production. Just think, keep your eyes and ears open and look around and how you can impact and serve. And there's an exchange there, dollar amount. But so, yeah, man, I mean, I'm an open book in regards to, the funny thing is too, man, like I don't have any formal education in software or tech. And I come from the military. I was a grunt, dude. Like I kept people and things safe in the Air Force. I was a glorified security guard starting. I was a military police officer. So I did some basic entry control point access stuff. I did law enforcement, so LE on a military base, which is way different than civilian law enforcement, in my opinion. Some people may get upset for me for saying that. And then I deployed, like I volunteered and wanted to deploy every about 6 to 7 months. I was out the door, man. Good places, bad places. So that was kind of like my refining moments throughout my life. And I always tell people, like, my tiptoe into this industry was due to restlessness and discontent. I was out of the military, going to college. I was burnt out. I was like, dude, I want to make money. I want to travel. So I jumped at the chance of doing contracting. I worked overseas, and it didn't take me long. It was 3 years I lived in Kuwait and in Dubai, and I had everything like monetarily. Was making really good money. We had $10,000-$15,000 nights in Dubai, to give you an idea, and like how much like we were generating. We had no bills, so we were getting paid a lot and spending very little because good. Everything was taken care of. Our food, our rides to work, our lodging and stay. So just money, but we were trading time for it. So it didn't take me long to get to this place where I was, it's like, man, I'm making a lot of money. All my needs are taken care of, but I'm miserable. Like I want freedom, and I was lonely. Like I had no companionship. Like there's no woman in my life at the time. And I was looking back through Facebook at home, and like people are getting together, people are going to events, games. And I'm like, man, what's important to me? What's wealth, right? Yeah. And I've been on this continuous journey of like, what is wealth? And but anyway, so like that was really the start. Like just looking at quotes about time, looking at quotes about, just looking at the time and realizing that I'm trading it for money, and just like, okay, how can I make half this money but own every second of my day? And how do I, get some control and take charge of my day? What can I do, And that compelled me to start writing in a book, little flip page book. Dude, everything you can think of, like hot dog stand, tater tot stand, franchise restaurant, you name it. I wrote it down, and none of them really could pay me and like the total life, return that I wanted, like tech and apps could. None of them made as much sense in my head as much as like an internet-based or digital-based business. And some of the reasons were because it was very low cost to build it, right? I didn't have to have a huge team or a huge chunk of capital to start. I didn't, I could be a global company. I saw that right away. Like I could create continuity-based subscriptions and get paid residually while processing payments throughout the whole world. It just, all these things made sense. And the net revenue that I could make from it was really high. I could be profitable quick, which I wanted. So, long story short, that was my first, idea. And I sucked when I started. I think everybody sucks when they first started anything. Oh, yeah. I've failed for hundreds of thousands of dollars. I've had projects that never left the shipyard. It has been an enthusiastic failing forward career for me. And I've only arrived at where I'm at because I'm not a pussy. I don't quit.
I love it.
So that's honest. I could have, and I probably should have several times, but I'm just too stubborn. And I love the idea of freedom, and I will always pursue freedom, because to me, I'm more afraid of not trying and that regret than I am the fear of just sending it.
I love it, dude. I mean, I'm getting hyped up now just saying that. I want to run through a brick wall, but yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you, dude. I mean, freedom, just like you said, not having to be stuck under fluorescent lights from 9 to 5. And I haven't quit my 9 to 5, but I enjoy my work. I mean, I go in each day and I'm hating on it or whatever. I enjoy going to work. It's not. I don't have a. I'm very fortunate in that regards. But yeah, like we've been talking, there is part that you want to be able to work whenever you want to, set your own hours. If you want to. Versus the quality of work for how long you're there. If you get so much shit done in 4 hours and you're out, I got shit accomplished today. I can go, I don't know, do whatever you do, play golf or whatever you
right.
on the side. But then you can feel good that, hey, I got a ton of shit done. But, I'm with you though that, as far as, because sometimes me and my friends get together and we talk about, business ideas and like, hey, what can we start or whatever. But, internet and the digital age is like where it's at, just because, what we were saying with screens and social media, you can do it basically from anywhere and anywhere. And make money off the internet while not doing it, while you're out playing golf or watching.
Right.
Whatever. So you had a great idea, dude. I mean, was that part of what the military, you thought like this is where it's going to take off, is this being digital internet age, to seeing like the technology there? And
there's so many problems. So first off, it's okay to work a job and mind your freedom. I always say that, like, I think it's actually wise if you're working a job and that's paying for your economy or your way of life. Awesome. And honestly, you're rich based on an equation of how much you make versus how much you spend. It's a ratio. So where I live, I'm rich as shit because I make a good amount of money, but I also spend very, very little. And I've set my life up that way. And so can anybody else listening, or anybody, that's just about getting tactical with what your ideal lifestyle is, and not for anybody else either. Like, fuck everybody else. Like, you need to live for you. What's your perfect day to day, your perfect week, your year, your month, and that'll change. But I think a lot of people, I'm going down a tangent. A lot of people live for other people, and they wear their wealth, or they deeply care about what their friends think. And I'm no stranger to some of those emotions and feelings and thoughts as well. But I want to encourage people to have a different thought process. Find your ideal freedom number and work towards that intelligently. You don't have to just cut the job off. Like, I'd say, work your job and mind your business and freedom, and ultimately be thinking about who you are, what customers you can get, and how do you make them really, 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 really happy, so they become advocates. And that's really like the challenge of business. There's complexities in finding customers and making them really happy, but that's really it. Those are the two things if you want to simplify the whole thing. But yeah, man. So like, technology to me was this thing that I could solve a lot of different problems in a lot of different industries with, whether it's speeding something up, slowing something down, organizing somebody's existing business, taking somebody from offline to online through an app, or some sort of, maybe it's just fixing something. Maybe somebody already has an existing platform and it needs to be updated to be HIPAA compliant, or it needs to be in the cloud instead of in a file box somewhere. There's so many areas in tech where people may not even need service. A lot of people's websites don't even have proper security on them. They need what's called an SSL certificate, and there's a business op right there. So anybody listening, if they want to go out and help, and all they do is add a security certificate to somebody's web domain, you could sell that security audit. There's that to me is what stood out. Was specifically, it was one tool that we built back in the day. We helped people create more traffic to their Instagram and social medias through basically a bot. It was a cloud-based bot that would mimic behaviors, that would tap people on the shoulder essentially online and drive them back to come and look at your channel or your page. And then your content would do all the heavy lifting. Really, it would, encourage somebody to subscribe, or it would encourage somebody to like, comment, share, etc. But our platform was taking out the human element and replacing it with a bot like characteristics where it would go out and do those things to bring people back to you.
So explain a bot in more detail. I mean, I know I never created one or did anything, but I know that people use them. So I have a buddy who's a sneakerhead, right?
Yeah.
They drop like the Jordan 1s and the newest Nikes or whatever, but these bots get in there and they snatch them all up really before. I mean, same way like PlayStation 5s and Xboxes or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, is it tough like coding a bot? I mean, it's got to be tough coding a bot and like teaching it just how to do whatever you want, or is it just as simple as like, hey, just sitting down, taking the time? And
nothing's hard that you know how to do. So like, for me, I'm not really good at math, so that's hard. But for somebody else that knows how to do it really well, that's tried it, practiced it, have really, perfected their craft. They're great, I'm sure. So there's all sorts of different types of bots. The one that we built specifically was essentially automating characteristics that somebody could, or automating functionality that somebody else could already do on Instagram. So on Instagram, you could go out and you could like something, comment on something, message, you could share, you could view a story. Basically what we did is we took all those functionalities and allowed somebody to decide what functionalities they wanted to use on their account, how many times they wanted to do them, and to whom they wanted to do them to. And then the program would go out and do those things to this filtered group of people. So for instance, it would make a lot of sense if you ran, if you were a fitness influencer, right? You're a fitness influencer, or let's say you're a podcaster that talks about fitness.
Okay.
So in that case, if you use their platform, you would want it to go and target people that would be ideal listeners, right?
Okay.
So you would program it to go out and target a specific hashtag or target a specific user with keywords that they were using on Instagram. And it would go out and thousands of times a day, go out and engage with your ideal people and bring them back to view your stuff. And then from there, you're getting a lot more exposure. So it was very relevant for a large group of people because it was automating behaviors. And this was years ago. This was before everybody like really got into this game. And, these massive platforms like created a lot of security, and it's not a good practice. So anybody that's like even considering this, don't. Number one, it's against compliance. Number two, it's, so you could lose your account. It's not, ethical. And number two, whether I'm on 2 or 3, I can't remember. It doesn't work. So you're going to get shadow banned, and it's not a good methodology to bring a community together around who you are, what you do. The best way is to give information away. I think.
You mean give it? What do you mean give information away?
I mean, like if everybody is their own unique person, everybody is authentically awesome as themselves. That in and of itself is this rare thing, you being you. Yeah. So your ability to get out of your own way and share that and inspire people, or share the knowledge that you already have, whether it's about podcasting, woodworking, surfing, give it all away without any apprehensions. Even your really, really good shit, like your shit that your hidden secrets on this craft, give that away. And you will make more friends and more connections and authentic relationships than you would, using a bot or some cheap method.
Is that the issue with social media today? That, there's so many people who are trying to be a fitness influencer or a woodworking influencer, and they just can't get out of their own way just because, maybe they just don't really know how to use social media that well, but also just because, like I said, there's 3 million I don't know how many millions of podcasts they are right now. So it's like oversaturated. So in trying to get that exposure on the Instagram where people will come find you, I'm just trying to make sense of what I'm trying to say. Will come your way. I mean, is it just so much of it? Is that the issue with social media today? And you just there's no way to stand out anymore, or what? Yeah, I guess that's
well, number one, it's hard, and hard work. There's very few people that'll do hard work. Just being honest, like go to the gym how many people now have washboard 6-pack abs? Very few. It's because that shit's hard. You got to eat right. You got to perform the consistencies. You got to, what I call, chop the tree down every day. And, so that's falling point number one, I think, for a lot of folks. It's really hard to create content. I think number two, in regards to the social media world, it's really hard to create authentic content or get out of your own way, in a sense that you can be your authentic self and that comes through. Mm-hmm. And then being creative and coming up with new topics. There's all sorts of different nuances and hurdles. So anybody that's done it, right, it's admirable. That's why influencers or anybody that's like amassed a large audience is admirable. I think in the same way someone that's amassed like big muscles, it's because, wow, we know that maybe subliminally, we know that there was a lot of work conducted to do that. And then, oops, still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. My screen went away.
Yeah, you're good. You're good on my end anyway.
Okay, sorry. It just like shrunk down. But I think, we know that that it takes hard work. And inside that hard work, man, there's different nuances, different things that you have to learn about your content, about yourself, about meeting people, like the psychology of it. There's all these barriers that you have to become worth, your goals that you've set out to hit. And so there's a lot of mindset there too, that I think a lot of people, they won't learn some of those lessons, or they won't be open to some of those lessons. So they can't pass go. They don't pass a certain phase of that. That's why, it's hard to get big results if you're not really ready to play big.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think I've talked on it before again, but back in the day, right when I started college, like my uncles told me, hey, no matter what you do, I know you're going to party and probably all that good stuff, but whatever you do, just show up to class, and that's always stuck with me. Just actually showing up, doing the work, no matter how bad you feel, how good you feel or whatever. And just like you said, don't be a pussy, just get in there and do it. And
learn such good advice.
Yeah. And I learned from my mistakes big time. I fell a lot. And I think that's a really bold statement, because a lot of people hate to fail, and you put up a picture on Instagram or whatever, and then you get 4 likes out of it, right? And then they're like, oh, fuck this, I ain't doing this. And you're trying to be a fitness influencer, and and then you see like a girl that's shaking her ass and she's got 20,000 likes.
Yep.
Whatever. And it's just like, what, I'm out here grinding all day, right? And she's just over there twerking, and she's already got, 2 posts and whatever. It's like, I get it that, you see that and you're like, there's no even use. There's no meaning use competing with that. I mean, how do you compete with that? But yeah, just like you're saying, if you keep showing up, and maybe you get a nice break along the way from somewhere, but keep doing the work, and good things, I feel like, tend to fall your way.
I think the biggest thing is, if I could interject even that point, is like, you're just to realize that you're in competition with you. Like, you are your biggest competitor. You showing up every day, you getting out of bed, you putting in the work to edit your video, or to, whatever the thing is that you're doing, there's nuances to it. There's challenges to it. There's the boring side that creates income opportunity, the forward progress comes from the pain of resistance. I really believe that. And the gym is this wonderful place that will teach you this lesson, or the military, but I mean, more people can relate to the gym, that there's progress in some of the pain and resistance. And in your craft, whatever it is, the thing that you're doing, even if you start out like loving doing it, there's going to be shit inside of it that gets boring and mundane. And what I've discovered is that's the shit that you need to continue to do, even when the days aren't sunny and there's no rainbows and rabbits and lollipops. That is what will make you very successful, is your ability to grind through or grit through the action steps and the actions necessary to propel your brand, company, family, whatever it is, forward. And I really do believe that.
Well, yeah, I mean, just like you said earlier, you said in the beginning of starting, was it TrueFanz or whatever, that you were in the back, barely getting out of the shadow. And now you're
Yeah.
now coming out for, years and actually trying to, I guess, promote it, get on podcasts and do your thing. But yeah, you were grinding in the back, and it's not flattery. It's not cool. I mean, everybody wants shortcuts to life, but they're not. Sorry, people, there's not. I mean, I wish there were shortcuts. You take the red pill or blue pill or whatever and have six pack abs all day long. But yeah, I mean, it's the boring,
uncomfortable
you got to do to get to that goal.
It's uncomfortable, man. And it's not even like it's becoming more comfortable for me now to even be on podcasts or to even be making content. I've got an editor now. I'm creating a system and a process, and I'm looking at guys that are at better level, like higher levels than me in this, that have been doing it longer. Like I'm really admiring like Alex Hermosi right now, Brad, Leah. Like these are some of the folks that I admire that are producing content, created a personal brand, that are giving out these little nuggets. And I'm like, man, I don't have to necessarily reinvent the wheel, and neither does anybody. You just have to add sauce to your own wheel, and then take some ingredients or take some inspiration from people that you admire that maybe are right where you want to be. And that's honestly like a time hack. If somebody wants to be an app developer, they want to build software code, you can look at me. There's other people out there as well, but you should ask me questions. You should watch, you should dig in who's my team. You should ask what I read, or just get involved and apply that same methodology to whatever you do. If you want to play the violin, okay, cool. You want to be an awesome kick-ass podcaster, cool. You need to follow Chris. Yeah. Get in touch with him. He knows some stuff, right?
That's what we say. I also train and compete in CrossFit on the side too. And that's what we've always said, that if you want to, train with the best, or be one of the best, you got to train with the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like learn what they're doing too. And not just what I'm, but there's outliers to everything, of course. But yeah, that's part of it. Like, me and a couple of people I train with, we push each other all day long, and that's how we get better. Instead of just going there, I'm just going to take it easy today. And just, like, no, I'm going to fucking beat your ass today on this. Mm-hmm. I'm going to suck. It's just, everybody needs that type of push, just to find out what you're made of, find out, where you can do with yourself, and not just take it. I'm a firm believer in trying to challenge yourself and doing things that they scare you a lot, just because you learn to grow from it. And I'm not saying like, go jumping off cliffs or anything, but, but like, yeah, if you want to go bungee jumping, do it, challenge yourself, figure out who you are, take these challenges in life, do something that you're like, ooh, like I did kind of like that. And I learned I could do it, and some people, when I'm training them, say, hey, push a little harder. You get, try to get 5 more reps in. They're like, oh, I fucking did it. It's like, yeah, you can do it. You just don't want to, but yeah, you do it. And I'm not saying that works for it. It works for most people, I think, but if you just want to go in there and just, lollygag and whatever in work or in a workout or whatever you want to do, that's fine. That's fine. If that's your thing, cool, go for it. But you can't go over there and then complain about me. Oh, well, they're making more money than me. Oh, I'm not where I want to be in life. It's just, hey, bro, just like,
yeah, you got too much time on your hands, man. If you're not actually like, or you're distracted, if you're so focused on someone else's pursuit or someone's blessings, then I already know exactly where that person's at. They're watching someone else's wave, which is, just be aware of that. If somebody is angry at somebody else, they're watching. I think you're creating.
Let's explain to people. So I know you went to, down obviously the internet business ideas. So you created a fans social media. So yeah. Let's talk about that. Like, explain what that is to people, besides, and it's not only fans, everybody. So
right. So again, and this is the reality is I never like set out to have this good idea in anything that I'm doing. I'm just observant, and I try to listen, and I tried to watch. And if there's opportunity to inject a solution, I'm normally pretty good at like seeing where things could be improved through specifically technology or a system or a process. And yeah, so that's where I inject. Anyway, TrueFanz is no different than that. It started out realizing that content creators have historically been underpaid and undervalued. Really? We realized that, or we think personally that it sucks if you get your content removed or filtered or censored. We also think that it sucks to be demonetized without any, we also think it sucks to not have any sort of customer support or tech support in the event something's going wrong, because you're just a number or you're not cared about. So all these different things that was just to name a few. We thought, okay, well, we can do better. So we did reconnaissance, which is just a fancy word for going out and kind of putting our feelers out. Okay, who's out there? Who's doing this already? And 99% of the time, someone's already out doing the thing that you're envisioning that you want to do. So I would suggest, maybe mimic this methodology. We went out and we're like, okay, who's the 10,000 pound gorillas in the room? Cool. Got it. Wrote down a list. It's like, what can we do to be the most logical choice for creators around the planet? And what we came up with, first off, we had belief. What we came up with, we would be 100% invite only for content creators. Not just anybody could get in. Instead of being like a Walmart, we're going to be more like a country club.
Okay.
An exclusive invite platform. The next thing is we were going to pay more. So no hidden fees, no nonsense. We were going to pay more. And then we were going to pay faster. So we're a US based company. So we've got a really kick-ass partnership with our merchant. So we just launched instant payments. So you don't have to wait. There's no minimums, no maximums. So I was like, cool, we got another thing. Okay, what next? How do we keep incentivizing? Yeah. And the biggest one is we don't allow adult content. So we're a home for folks that would love to have an OnlyFans or a Patreon or whatever, and kudos to those guys. They've done fantastic. I come in peace. I think they've done wonderful, but we are the wholesome alternative to those competitors. So somebody that, doesn't want to be associated with that industry, cool, come to us. We don't allow it. Our marketing is totally different. So that's where we kind of stamped our flag. And it's been awesome, man. We have 200 some odd thousand users now across the planet. We're growing at a great rate. We've been able to meet and support and empower some of the coolest people I've ever met. And I'm just really excited about where we're going and who we're meeting. And it's part of the reason I felt compelled to get out of the shadows, if you will, and start to get out there and build a personal brand and help folks in what I know how to do, which is monetize. Been doing it for years in the digital space, whether it's running ads, all these complex methods to take influence and attention and convert it into a sale of some sort. That's what we know how to do through a conglomeration of ways. So now it's allowing us to think kind of like an agency and kind of like a tech company, and kind of fuse those together on behalf of our users.
With part of this, you wanted to go down this road just because of, I think during a pandemic, or I guess we're still in a pandemic. I don't really fucking know.
Who knows?
Yeah. Once Putin decided to go into war, like COVID was over, apparently.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm getting at is that, during the pandemic, apparently, YouTube was demonetizing people if they had spoke apparently misinformation at the time, or or even on Twitter, they were, Trump got banned from Twitter because of, I forgot what he was writing up on there, but yeah, obviously he got banned from Twitter, and now it's kind of like almost that, like Elon's trying to buy Twitter, so he wants to save free speech.
Yeah,
and like you said, I don't really know how YouTube, I guess they get paid through ads and how it all really works, to be honest with you. But yeah, was that part of the your initial investment? Is like, hey, I want to try to change this. You said content creators are really underpaid.
Yep. No, so I'm a huge advocate for freedom of speech. I'm a huge advocate for capitalism and people going out and making money and taking care of their families and pursuing their own happiness and pursuing their own religious freedoms. All that. I love freedom. I'm way for less government. And that's just me personally. But, I do know how typical traditional social media works, and it's a pay to play platform in most cases. And what I mean by that is your reach. If you run a community on Facebook, Instagram, some of the other big ones, it's not within their best interest to help you get seen. It's not within their best interest to help you and your post organically be found by your audience. It is, however, within their best interest of their purchasers, right? Their ad buyers, to allow you to pay for that exposure or pay for that dissemination of your thing. And that's how it works, right? I don't know the exact percentages, but when you make a post, only X amount of percent of people will see it.
Yeah.
And that's not how ours works. So whether you have 10 people or 10 million people within our, within your channel on our platform, everybody gets a push notification. Everybody gets an email. Everybody gets notified. As long as they have their notifications turned on, it's up to them. But everybody's notifications are on by default when they come into your community.
Okay.
And then, as far as our messaging, You can send out a mass message to every single one of your people. So that type of reach is something that is foreign in traditional social media, and we disrupt that. So, and it's because we believe that you as the influencer, you as the creator, you as the community manager, it's your audience. They're there for you. They don't give a shit about me. In all honesty, if all your people were to get on, if you had a community, even for this podcast, they don't care what the technology is built in per se, as long as it's keeping them safe and they're comfortable on it, right? And it works as it should. They don't care. They definitely don't. They don't care about this ginger beard guy from the Midwest. So anyway, yeah. So we are flipping the paradigm on traditional social media, and we're excited about what this is now and what it's going to continue to become for people. And it's exciting, man. It's cool. And the whole internet's changing to more of a decentralized.
Do you think this is part of the future of social media? I mean,
Yeah. So the complexity of bringing something to market in form of an app, or in form of a website, in form of a digital product, is only going to continue to diminish. I think, like, over time, it's going to become more and more simplistic. And I believe that in the future, everyone will have their own slice of the internet. Like, everyone will have their own app. Everyone will have their own branded platform, if you will. And where my place will be is more of a support role, as an infrastructure to those platforms. But ultimately, you as the creator, the person, will have your own. It won't be, I don't think it'll be a Facebook. I don't think it'll be if anything, that'll be at the bottom right corner. It'll say powered by.
Yeah.
But it will be your space to allow you to create, allow you to have your audience list, allow you to have your data. That's kind of where my head goes with it. I feel like that's the most wholesome way to do it. And I feel like that's going to prevail over time, especially as consumers become even more educated.
Well, yeah, I mean, the more, it's kind of, the social media seems like still a wild, wild west, I mean, back in, I remember when Facebook first came out, it was like, Chris is taking a nap here, like that's what you would write on there. Now it's just,
right.
I've heard somebody explain it, just, monkeys throwing shit at each other at the zoo, especially when you what you post or whatever. But yeah, I mean, now with the metaverse coming up, I don't know if that's going to change how people interact, but are you trying to play into that too? It's like, as far as like, with Zuckerberg, get your own little avatar into the metaverse, and with this and all that?
It's going to be interesting to watch it all, because there's a hardware play there too. Like, the metaverse it exists now. If you get an Oculus,
right,
you can go play Top Golf with your friends in Brazil while you're in the Midwest, right? Or whatever. I mean, it's awesome. It's a lot of fun. It's really cool. It's interactive. It's phenomenal. But it's not very comfortable. It's not very convenient.
You wearing a thing, or what do you?
Right. Yeah. Like the actual apparatus.
Yeah.
So to watch it evolve, it's going to be radical to see, like, the future of hardware and technology that comes out in cohesion with that. If you've ever seen Ready Player One, I kind of imagine something like that, man. It's almost like they're preparing us for something like that. Is that possible? Absolutely. And I don't know how fully, but as far as us being prepared for it, we already do stuff in VR. We do stuff in crypto, not just specifically TrueFanz, although we do have an NFT project launching within the platform, so people can launch their music, document, picture, multiple pictures, etc., in an NFT format to their channel. That's a cool feature. But as far as like being in a position to help serve in those areas, we've got some pretty good senior devs in the crypto space now, on purpose, because we're getting more and more requests for crypto-based projects, whether it's in logistics, whether it's in fintech, whether it's in, there's all sorts of industries that are going to be impacted by this technology.
Well, that's where most people are going towards, is crypto now, right? So that's going to be a future in existences or whatever. But it's more like, my own mom now is asking me about crypto and currency and if she should invest. And I didn't even know she had heard of crypto before. But yeah, so it seems like that's the way our digital world is going. Is that crypto?
Yeah, the infrastructure makes sense for trust and truth. in most cases, but in a lot of cases, it's a wild, wild west as well. The idea of it's beautiful, but watching who emerges and watching the technology, the services that emerge that are actually able to deliver on these big ideas and promises will be fun to see. And I'm invested, but I'm more so like just observing closely right now, just because there's so much noise.
Yeah.
And I like utility. I think it's this classic thing that, like I said in the beginning, you're paid in direct proportion to your ability to solve problems.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just solve problems with an idea. It has to be executed on. It has to have utility, meaning it works. So that's going to drive your audience and your buyers and your usability. And crypto right now is, I think a lot of it's shit, to be honest, if I'm being brutally honest.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you mean by that? Like,
so it's my personal opinion.
Yeah, that's what I'm just about to do.
But like, so I think the mass majority of NFT projects will crash and they won't be worth anything at all if they ever were. Not to say that there's no place for NFTs. There definitely is. Especially when they're when you buy a house, if your house comes with an NFT, you can trade or buy or sell or whatever. Same thing with a car or a certificate of authentication, whether it's a Pokemon card or something of that sort. Like there's utility there, but the platforms putting those together to really stand out as the authenticator platform, I think that's lacking right now. And then even the method to authenticate those, I think Twitter tried and they failed already. Like people are still screenshotting and sharing other people's items. It's just not very, I don't know. It's new still. Yeah. And then, there's a lot of stuff that's here today, gone tomorrow in forms of, I don't know, financial coins, tokens, and in that world. I only see, I don't know. And this is all speculative, right? So don't take my words for it. I am apprehensive until I see more utility on a lot of different stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you can have theory about anything, but as far as you're saying, yeah, as far as making that theory into a utility, I mean,
right. If people are interested in the tokens that I'm looking at, I can say those. There's Render token. There's Luna, Luna.
Heard of Luna.
Yep, Luna. There's Render. And I really like Ecomi, just because they already have an app. They already have a lot of contracts with like Marvel and these various, I imagine that they're going to continue to do what they're doing. And then I don't know yet if I'm a Richard Hart fan or not. You know who that is? The guy that hacks.
What is it?
I think I'm a fan of his again, because I think what he's doing is he's building up his marketing. And he's created this character of himself. I don't like the character he's created, but I think that's on purpose that he's done that. And if that's the case, that's cool. But he is the owner of Hex, Hex. Right. And I do like his projects, and I like his. I don't like the character that he's portraying on the internet world, but if it's for the good of growing an audience and sharing what he stands for, I'm for it. And I think that's where I'm at right now.
That makes sense. I'll check it out. But
Richard Hart.
I guess the reason I asked that was just because I've never been an early adopter of anything. I always find stuff I feel like that's later in life that I really like, or not really in life. But I see something, and then when I decide to jump on it, it's just like, oh well, that's almost came and gone, man.
Sure.
What's the point of that? Even just like podcasts, there's millions and millions of podcasts, but a few years ago I decided, man, I really like podcasts, and I just kind of want to try it out, see what happens. And especially during the pandemic. But
yeah,
it was kind of the same way with Twitter. I remember when Twitter first came out and nobody was really using it. I was like, what the fuck's Twitter? Who cares about that? Then, it seems like all the celebrities started jumping in on it, and started doing their own little tweets or whatever. Mm-hmm. Now it's like that's what NFTs are. I was hesitant about NFTs too, because I was like, well, who cares about owning a picture of a glass or a bored ape or whatever it is? And
right.
And now it seems like like Snoop Dogg he bought a NFT. Maybe it was Kevin Hart. I don't remember. Then I think Justin Bieber has one now. They're all buying them, and it's just maybe this might take off now, just because with their influences or whatever, people want to follow along with. Oh, well, Snoop Dogg did it. Justin, they're doing it.
It will take off. It is. taken off. But if you watch those projects that those guys are on, and they're big time money grabs, man. They facilitate them in cohesion with one another and drive price, and it's not as it's differently regulated. So, the Bored Apes ones, right? I think those are they the most valuable ones?
They're the
Forgive
ones
my ignorance.
they're like 6 figures up to $1 million, I'm sure.
Yeah. And then I think what's the coolest part about those is what you get access to. Again, the utility, like you buy this thing, okay, but it gets you in at this restaurant or this party or this event, and then you can network with these people. Like that to me is a cool ticket, so it's like this graphic ticket that authenticates that you are able to gain access and entry into various places. Like that's the utility portion of it that I do admire from that project. But outside of that, like the art and maybe some of the history of it is cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of like you, man. I'm like, I get it. Like, that is kind of cool design that you made, but it's still just like, for me, I don't care about having a digital picture of.
I like the technology more. I think that the NFT technology will translate into more profound industries.
What do you mean? Like
real estate, like logistics, like voting, right?
Voting.
Yeah, it's a method to authenticate that somebody has done an action, and there's no way to manipulate it. So think about like the pharmaceutical industry.
Okay.
How intense those record keepings are, and they shouldn't be tampered with. Sure. Same thing's true in elections. Same thing's true. There's all these like high level need for trust areas. Same thing with buying a house and showing ownership of an asset or possession. So there's other industries I think that'll be impacted once more people like really understand how to use it. More developers are in the game, like actually in crypto development.
Mm-hmm. In developing a fan site, and you talk about NFTs and crypto, and like, do you find yourself always, with trying to stay up to date with, obviously you probably have to with technology as much as it's changing and stuff, and you're just trying to catch the next wave, like, all right, like, just to make your own app better. It's just like, all right, what's changing now? What's new now? What are people moving towards? And I got to keep my head on this level too.
I think where my head goes more than in the tech space on this, because our tech, there are different protocols that change. There's different nuances, and we're on top of those really well. And who we chose to work with as far as our infrastructure tech stack are solid. They're really good at what they do. We've got good logistics. We'll put it that way.
Okay.
Where my head goes is, how do I help creators make as much money as humanly possible, as easy as possible? How do I make this literally dummy proof? And so my head goes into more of the functionality that'll create cross pollination through the platform. More subscribers finding other people that they're interested in, like a For You algorithm. Mm-hmm. My mind goes more towards in the external as well. How do I get somebody that's on the platform, right, new creator, to make $1,000 as fast as humanly possible? And then how do I make it really easy for them to get blue check verified? How do I make it really easy for them to get PR? How do I make it really easy for them to do their taxes at the end of the year? How do I make it really easy for them to like create more traffic through strategies, through education? How do I help them become a creator entrepreneurial hybrid? And how do I help them monetize their influence and know the value and the power of that influence?
I mean, that's badass, dude. I mean, just because, like we were talking, like I was just saying earlier, with Instagram, they don't care if, what you post or as long as it's not excluding their, I guess, rules or whatever. But yeah, sure. Somebody wants to become a fit influencer. I mean, it's so hard, and, I love that you're saying you're making it easy as far as taxes go, to get people to come your way, to get paid. I mean, how do you make $1,000? if someone told me, make $1,000 just creating content, it's like, yeah, let's go for it, bro.
Absolutely. Right. And it's,
Doing it.
there's challenges, there's some nuances. Like, so specifically, one of the things that we did, there's a world where creators come to our platform, they make more money than they've ever made, ever. And not everybody's, let me say this as a disclaimer, somebody's results doesn't indicate somebody else's. And I'm not making financial claims, but in the event that somebody does go out and make larger amounts of money than they ever have before, they run into problems, or they can run into problems where they don't even consider taxes or setting up an entity to keep the money that they just generated. This is new to them.
Yeah.
So what we thought was, okay, how do we do it? How do we give them a done for them system, where all they have to do is book a call, get on the phone with an expert, an actual financial advisor, and get them set up seamlessly to get their taxes filed based on whatever they're doing on our platform or anywhere else. They can come to us through, we partnered with Prime Corporate Services out of Utah. Buddy of mine, Steve Howard, he's lifetime friend now. We connected anyway. So all they have to do now is go to our co-branded page, and they help them with an entity if it makes sense for them, like setting up an LLC.
Yeah.
Right. And that makes sense for a lot of people outside of even the creator space. If you don't know shit about taxes or financial services, it's not your thing, and you are making money on the side, you should have an LLC. There's a lot of deductions in a lot of cases. Again, not a financial expert, not giving you advice, but you should talk to someone.
I agree.
So it's been awesome. And that's just one pillar of the few that I named that we want to really help people with. And I think that makes us more of a logical choice for creators, people with a community, because now we're helping them on all these different fronts, the whole sphere, if you will.
Just by you talking, I feel like any new creator should just automatically head over to you instead of trying to battle the YouTube and Instagram and Facebook bag. Why not? I don't even know how OnlyFans works, but yeah, why would you not? Especially with the easy. You're making it sound so sexy, dude. Like,
it's cool, dude. So basically, there's 3 steps for us. We're 100% invite only, so you can't gain access unless you apply, or someone who's an existing creator sends you access. So people can go to TrueFanz.com, or I'll send you access, Chris, and they can go to you directly, and then you can invite them in if they meet the criteria. But then once you're in, you just sign up. You set up your channel. That's just a fancy way of saying adding your content, deciding what's upsell, like what's going to have an additional price to it. You set up your channel. So then you're ready for step 3, which is just share it out to the world. So you don't stop posting on your traditional social medias, and you don't stop like broadcasting your stuff everywhere. It's just where that goes. Everything should be funneling back to your VIP channel, right? Your inner circle. So people can then take it a layer deeper and connect with you. And, internal of that, if we're just talking about podcasters, right, then if I was doing it for my own podcast, right, I would share the first 10 minutes of questions off air, right? And then the behind the scenes, like of us talking, before and after, or different things that I didn't share. Or if you had a series of questions that, as soon as you're done recording, then you ask me, hey, we're getting ready to close this down. I'm going to ask Tim 5 more questions. If you want to find out the answers to those 5 more questions, join my TrueFanz community. That's where I get paid. That's where I help fund this dream that I have. Get over there. Stop being a cheap ass. You know what I mean? Like, this is where I'm at. So then people are contributing to you and what you're doing. And then also, they're able to see the inner circle shit, Yeah.
Was that just, I feel like we might have already answered this, but that was just your vision while, in the military, and then you decided to go create this. That was just like, hey,
No. So in the military, dude, like my first idea was as primitive as technology is this thing, like building an app, building a software as a service, and selling a digital service is this thing that makes a lot of sense. I've built a lot of platforms since then. Some did well, some sat on the shelf, some are still on the shelf right now. And some some completely fail, right? So TrueFanz came as an idea, and we got lucky right before the pandemic. The idea was, what did I see? I saw something where somebody had a Wix website, like it was a shitty like Wix website where their content was blurred. And that was all the spark that I needed to see. And I just took it down this road. I was like, oh my gosh, we can do this. We can do this really well. We could make it an app.
Yeah.
Like we could crush this out of the park. My ideas just started going crazy as far as different upsells, being able to go live, being able to help facilitate a storefront, all this stuff, man, and making it as easy as possible for people to get rolling.
Yeah, I mean that's what people need, especially when I was, like I said earlier, we were creating this. I mean, I got a friend that's wanting to create a gaming channel on Twitch, and
Yeah.
like even just doing the research or just figuring out how to even start. Where's your day one at? Everyone's like, how do I fucking start? And like even just like I said, creating this was like almost a nightmare to me. But eventually, I sat down and did a research and stuff, and I was like, all right, start here, all right, and then we can go from here to here. But yeah,
well, bravo, man. No, that's great. And anybody that's on the fence, just fucking start. What's the worst? Here's the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario is you don't ever, and then fast forward another 30 years from this day. How old are you? Right?
Yeah.
And that's the reality. Like you and I were probably, I'm 30, I'm 33. Am I 33? Yeah, I'm 33. Fuck. So, they say middle age is 50. That's bullshit. It's not. Middle age is like 35. If you look at the national average of like how long people are living.
No.
And I hate to get morbid, but it's the God honest truth. And it's like, so if that's the case, if 70 is this time frame in which people are croaking, time is of the essence. And I'll reiterate, like I am more afraid of being old man Tim and looking back and like having regret or thoughts of I should have done this, I could have done this, why didn't I do this?
Yeah.
Versus just sending it and enjoying life like in the present moment. That life is you're meant to build, you're meant to pursue challenges, you're meant to create. I curse like a sailor, but I'm a Christian dude, and I believe in God, believe in a creator God, and I think that we all have this God-like characteristic about us in which we can think, plan, and grow and manifest things into the reality of this world that we live in through those actions. And it sucks if you don't let people hear your music. It'll suck worse. Whatever that music is and whatever you have to give, I'd say give it. And stop thinking about it. God, man, like I'm an overthinker too. Trust me. Just send it. And like, okay, well, what is step one? Well, fucking Google it. Like no one's here to like hold your hand. I just got done talking about God. I'm using the F word. All right, I'm a Christian that curses. Get that out of the way. I'm a grunt too. So, Google it. If you have that question, ask Google, how do I start lawn mowing company? How do I start developing an app? How do I start? And 9 times out of 10, you're going to find a blog and put your filtering hat on. Okay, I'm going to trust this, but I need to verify it. How credible is this source? Is this guy selling me a course? Is this guy a douchebag? Is this stuff out here for free? Just start researching and determining what is valid. And you're going to run into some trial and error. It's okay. You got to fail enthusiastically. I failed for hundreds of thousands of dollars. Most people haven't invested $5,000 into a coach or into, books or into new information. That's just the truth. I failed for a lot of money, dude. And and there's guys that have done that way more than me. I hope I can keep my number within that level, but I'm still moving forward too. Like I'm still investing.
Yeah.
I just spent $6,000 on a few sessions with a coach that's going to help me get out of my own way in my subconscious mind.
Nice.
$6,000, like, and I paid another human being that much money. And that's, some guys pay Alex or other big name guys like $100K. There's events that you have to pay $35,000 or $50,000 or $100,000 even to go. So there's levels to it.
Yeah, there's levels to everything, I mean, just, I've learned that all through life, just like you think you're badass and then you get humbled in a way, whether it be, losing at a competition or your girl dumping you or whatever. It's like, oh, you have these humbling experiences. And I think that's what helps, keep your, ego in check. But also you learn from things like we've been saying. But, also agree with what you said earlier wholeheartedly that, like you were talking about half our age now. I mean, are we in midlife right now? But, I didn't want to be the person, when I'm looking back on my life on my deathbed, like, damn, why didn't I fucking, do that? Or why didn't I take that chance? And that's what I guess that's part of what this pandemic has taught me is try to take more chances and put yourself out there and see what happens. And just that, I mean, you're going to get struck down, you're going to get rejected, and that's you learn and grow from it. And I guess what I'm just trying to say that is just that, I mean, it feels like that's what people like in your position or big time people who are successful, that's what they've done. They've taken these risks and they fell flat on their face, but they've learned that, hey, if you keep grinding, you keep doing it, you keep learning, boom.
That's really it, dude.
Yeah.
You got to go talk to the girl.
Yeah.
Go say hello and tell her something that you admire about her.
Yeah, dude.
There's so many dudes. There's probably, if you have male listeners, there's so many people right now that know this girl that they admire, that they've wanted to talk to, but they're paralyzed in the fear of failure, fear of regret, fear of whatever else. And you need to unpack that first off, like really get in tune with your feelings, thoughts, and ideas. But then at some point, you just gotta just do it. Just go out and do it. And worst case scenario, if the answer is she's not interested or whatever, you can be really proud of the fact that you went out and did it. And the same thing applies with building a company or building a brand or starting a podcast or learning how to play guitar or whatever it is, man. I hope everybody finds their freedom number and their ideal, pursuit, and gives themselves permission to play their music.
Tim, I like what you said there. I think we should take it home on that and end on a good note, man. Just, I like what you said, and I don't want to go down another alley and we start, maybe bring up something negative or whatever. But yeah, I think that's a badass and way to take this home on that one. So if people want to find TrueFanz and all that good stuff, or anything you want to give out,
yeah,
do that and all that good stuff.
So you can Google Tim Branyan. You can go to timbranyan.com. That's where like all my socials and stuff are at. That website should be done like now. If not, it'll be done the next couple days. TrueFanz, they can go through you. I'm going to give you access as soon as we jump off here, man. They can reach out to you to gain entry. You can send them an invite. They hit you up. And then our website, if they want to learn more about it, just truefanz.com. Yeah, and other than that, man, I appreciate you having me on here. It's been fun. And I hope to remain connected with you too, Chris.
Dude, yeah, Tim, you're a badass guy, man. I mean, like we said earlier, I mean, just getting people like ourselves together and just talking and even like, goofing around a little bit. But yeah, just like-minded individuals. You want to do big things, put people like that around yourself. So
let's do it.
Yeah, bro. All right. Be good to yourselves, people. We're out of here. And catch us on next time. All that good stuff, whatever. So
see ya.